The American dream was the promise that hard, honest work got you security, freedom, and wealth. But today, it barely covers survival. How did the American dream turn into the American nightmare? Let's mine deep. For decades, people came to the United States because it was affordable and filled with opportunity. A single income could buy a house, support a family, and even build some savings. Post-World War II, this quality of life was rare. Most nations were still struggling to build a stable middle class. Many were war-torn with 30% plus poverty rates, while most American families were living comfortably on one income.
The attractive home of John and Margaret Bryant, the home they've always dreamed of, the happiest investment they have ever made.
Fast forward to today, and that purchasing power has eroded. Recent data shows that rent alone increased by 18% in the last year, yet wages have hardly moved. And if you do manage to get into the housing market, prices are now over 7 times the median income versus only 2 to 3 times above the median income only decades ago. Everything has flipped now. A recent report found that the number of Americans identifying as expats or digital nomads increased by 49% in the last 3 years. We went from getting mail order bribes and fighting a Cold War with Russia to Russia selling us their real estate.
Could be your future place to live in Russia. Some people call it safe haven, some people just Russian paradise.
Another study found that over 50% of Americans aged 18 to 25 feel insecure about money, and another 36 actively report suffering from depression. When did it all go downhill? Well, you could blame it on the US leaving the gold standard in 1971. You could blame it on woke culture or mega culture, or you could even take Ray Dalio's assessment and see it as the inevitable part of the rise and fall of an empire. But if we woke up from the American dream and are finding ourselves in the American nightmare, what exactly snaps us back to reality? Maybe it's time to redefine what the American dream even means. If the original dream was built on security, freedom, and opportunity, then today it's clear we need a new foundation for that vision. The path forward won't be about simply working harder or hoping for a bigger paycheck. It's about challenging the structures and the systems that keep average Americans struggling to stay afloat. So why should you care? For many, the American dream isn't a hopeful goal anymore. It's a haunting reminder of what used to be possible. Today's younger generations are left questioning whether they'll ever be able to afford a home, retire, or feel financially secure, hoping for government support to fill the gaps that hard work used to cover. But the American dream was built on the idea of self-reliance, not dependence. Waiting on external support to fix this reality won't solve the problem. It'll only deepen the cycle. That's where alternatives like Bitcoin come in. Bitcoin offers financial independence that bypasses traditional systems, a way to save and transact outside inflation and control. For those who value the dream as freedom from reliance, Bitcoin represents a path forward, a way to save, invest, and exchange value without someone else's policies changing the rules. If the American dream is going to survive, it needs to become less about safety nets and more about self-determination. The question is, will America adapt to protect this dream, or will people continue to seek it elsewhere, in places or assets that don't require waking up to a nightmare? Don't miss Natalie Brunell, Backstage.
So you mentioned how your parents migrated from Poland to America to follow the American dream. How would their life have changed if Bitcoin was around back then?
I think it would have made a huge difference because they could have taken their wealth from Poland with them very easily. They had an apartment back home, and it's not easy to travel with assets. So I think if Bitcoin was around, they could have basically converted their wealth into Bitcoin and taken it with them in a seed phrase. It's so empowering. But they came here with a huge dream, and the American dream is something I talk about a lot because I think it's a very universal dream. I think that everyone strives to, make their life better than what they had growing up, or make their children's lives better than what they had. And that's what my parents did coming. And the American dream is this idea that you can come from anywhere. You can come from poverty You can come from any country, and if you work hard, get a good education, you're a good person, you can make anything happen. Like literally your wildest dreams can come true. And I think that's so inspirational, but it's been harder to make that happen. People work super hard here and they're not getting ahead and they feel frustrated, but I think they're turning to politics when really they need to look at the financial system that's broken. And obviously I think Bitcoin fixes it. I don't think that we are as different as the media make us out to be and all these political controversies make us out to be. I think that we can unite. I think that humans are naturally cooperative and love to connect with other humans, but it's really difficult to do that when at the core, we all interact through money. It's like the most important piece of information, price signals and money. That's how we engage with one another and provide value. And we can't do that in a system that's completely skewed and manipulated at its core with inflation at the root, which is ultimately theft. We need to reorder the system to one that's fair, that's accessible to everyone, where everyone plays by the same rules, no one has a special advantage. And again, that's Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin will strike at the heart of the corruption in our system that is the result of being able to manipulate money.
And do you think your parents coming from Poland, losing their house, that affected your perception on Bitcoin?
I think it planted the seed that I didn't know would sprout until I learned about Bitcoin, because I was very frustrated. I thought that the American dream was now out of reach, especially for my generation. And I didn't understand what happened. I didn't know because I didn't understand money. And I had to really go on a journey of learning about the history of money, what backs it, who issues it, what fractional reserve banking is. And then I came to really appreciate why Bitcoin really does solve a lot of these issues and why everyone needs to embrace Bitcoin.
How does it feel when the facts are there, but people don't see the truth behind Bitcoin?
You know, I tried to remember what it was like when I was first learning about Bitcoin, and I was resistant to it too. I thought, no way, there's got to be something I'm missing. I'm going to lose all my money. It can be hacked. It just takes time. I don't understand the people that have been constantly shown the value of Bitcoin and they refuse to see it, but everyone will get the price that they deserve, including Peter Schiff. I love his work on macro, but someday he'll be a Bitcoiner.
So what would you say, in your view, what are the primary economic factors contributing to the American dream turning into a nightmare now?
Inflation. People are having their purchasing power and savings eroding away, and they are they're sort of comfortable not understanding that that's not the way the system has to be. 2% inflation, first of all, that number is not really 2%, right? But it does not have to be at the core of our system. We can actually have an appreciating currency. We can store our value in something that is going to allow us to purchase whatever we want in the future. And I think it's going to give people a lot of hope, because if you can't make ends meet and you're basically paycheck to paycheck, that's really stressful. You feel a lot of pressure down on you. And I think that it's impacting a lot of people's mental health and ability to just have hope for the future. So inflation is the thing we need to fix, and Bitcoin fixes inflation.